What's going on, everybody? It's time for the Kenai Weekly Fishing Report. The date is June 21st, first day of summer. Happy solstice, everyone. And I hope you all have been fishing last week, as I certainly have. I'm taking advantage of these long daylight hours and spending as much time on the water as possible. I've been all over the peninsula. I've been doing a little bit of halibut fishing from shore. We'll get into that. Definitely been going for kings and sockeye. So, as always, in this video, I will be going over the emergency orders, any news from the state, and of course, some on the ground field reporting. Let you guys know what I'm seeing and make your next fishing trip that much easier to plan. Okay, so let's go over some emergency orders. The big one here, guys, the early run Kenai King salmon has been currently restricted to catch and release only. I know it's kind of a heartbreaker, but as of June 17th, all king salmon, any size, wild and hatchery, have to be released, and bait is prohibited, and only single hook, artificial flies, or artificial lures may be used. You can fish with anything other than flies, but one hook, artificial only, no bait, catch and release only on the Kenai. That's the big news this week. And this has to do with just it's been a weak king run, and we'll go over the fish counts here in just a little bit. But it's been weak, and as someone who's been out there fishing, it's been slow. It's been slow across the board. So let's get into that. Any other emergency orders that you guys need to be aware of? Um, the personal use net hours have been restricted on the Kasilof as well in an effort to conserve the Kasilof River early run king salmon. Um, is effective Thursday, June 17th. The Upper Cook Inlet personal use fishing reduces the hours personal use gill net fishery at the mouth of the Kasilof from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. It is now 9 a.m. to 11 p.m. This went into effect June 17th. So again, if you guys are going out to the Kasilof for personal use net fishing, you can't start at 6 a.m. You can only start at 9 a.m. Other emergency orders, the Kenai River king salmon starting in July with no baits. This isn't really news if you've been paying attention because you already can't use bait, but in July, no baits. But that also means on the Kasilof, you can't use bait either. Starting July, you can still use bait from now till the end of June. However, starting in July, no bait allowed on the Kasilof. Okay, so let's get into the fish counts. We'll take a look here at the Kenai River Chinook fish counts. And like I said, it's not the worst year we've ever had, but it's certainly not the best. As of June 19th, there's been a total of 3,104 kings coming through. To put that into perspective, last year there were only 1,734. The year before that, 3,176. So it's not the worst year. It's not the best year. That's why they shut it down. But on a day to day basis, we're looking anywhere between 85 kings and 200 kings. So it's hard because you want to go out there catching king salmon on the Kenai, but there's only 100 fish that you're fishing for. It's a big river. It's you can stand out there all day and not see a single fish. So yeah, they shut it down, but I don't think too many people are fishing for them anyway. Let's take a look at some other fish counts here. The Anchor River Chinook. This one is kind of a heartbreaker. Um, they shut it down, but compared to last year, it is a little bit better. Total 1,322 fish. Last year, only 582 fish showed up. Uh, on June 19th, 29 wild appeared. On June 18th, 44 wild, 3 hatchery. June 17th, only 5 wild. June 16th, 28 wild. So, yeah, they shut it down. I know it's a small river. And the Anchor River is kind of a fan favorite because you don't have to fight the drift boats. It's only people fishing that are on it, but it is shut down. So maybe they reopen that one soon. I hope so. The Ninilchik River, this one is open. They reopened it for hatchery run only, but the numbers are pretty good. Now, 203 fish total. This time last year, only 12. Um, but to kind of look at those numbers on a day-to-day basis, you're getting 1 fish, 6 fish, 10 fish. So again, it's a small river. It's a long river to get to. Like I live close to to the Ninilchik, and I don't like going down there because it's kind of a long drive, and I'm just sitting there, because 10 fish might show up that day. So it's tough fishing all around if you guys want a king. We'll take a look at Deep Creek Chinook. Now, this is just devastating. Goose eggs across the board. No king have returned this year at all to Deep Creek, and that is concerning. And hopefully something finds its way in that river, but it's not looking good. Um, Now, that being said, if you do want a king, I saw some kings pulled out of the Kasilof, and I know the drift boats have been hitting them hard, but I saw some guys from shore. They were just flossing the water, and they got, I mean, I was fishing for collectively 10 hours this past week. I didn't get anything, but I had a guy to the left of me catch one. I had a guy to the right of me catch two of them. And so, yeah, they're out there. They're there. They're there. Yeah, it's frustrating to not catch any. Now that brings me to my next river here, the Russian River, Sockeye. I get this all week. People have been talking about the Russians producing the Russian River. So I went down there, I fished. Damn, it was slow. I couldn't get anything biting. I saw one guy pulling a fish, and there's people lined up along the river. It's a long drive. You got to pay for parking. You have to wait in line to show up, and then to not catch any fish. It's hard. If you want my opinion, I would say wait for the sockeye to really fill the water before going out there. Because yes, the run is better than it was this time last year. This time last year, only 4,730 showed up into the Russian. As of June 19th, 7,337. I mean, whew, that's pretty good, guys. That's pretty damn good. But like I was saying, it's slow. You only get about 1,000, maybe 2,000 fish a day in there, and it's still a pretty big river. You got to fight a lot of fishermen. So just wait, give it a week, give it another week and a half, because these fish are going to come up. It's going to be a strong run. All indications look like it's going to be a strong sockeye run this year. So they're coming in. And if you want to ensure that you're going to catch something, wait till a little bit later in the season. Don't be an eager beaver like I was, because I just burned through a lot of gas, and I don't have anything in the freezer to show for it. That brings me to my favorite river, the Kasilof River, the Sockeye 2021. And let's take a look at those numbers. And the numbers are pretty good. Collectively this year, 20,941 fish. At this time last year, 18,667 fish. So it's better than last year. It's on track, just like it was last year, for another big sockeye run, and I'm excited for that. Now, I was just fishing a couple days ago in the Kasilof, just flossing, trying to get anything, and I saw one guy catch a sockeye, but I know they're there because I saw one guy catch him, and these fish counts are great news. So I think your best bet for fishing is the Kasilof now, while we wait for the Kenai River to warm up. Now, speaking of the Kenai River warming up, let's take a look at the temperature of that water. Temperature, water degrees in Celsius, or in, I'm going to read it in Fahrenheit, right, guys? 46 degrees we're looking at most recently, up from previous in the week with a low of about 41, but it's stabilizing. The water temperature is stabilizing. That's because we had a very stable week in temperature, and we can look at the air temperature, and that reflects it. Throughout the week, we're hovering right around 60 to 70 degrees as the highs, and the lows are 58. And this is thanks to the solstice. The sun stays up all day, and it maintains some stable weather for us, and we haven't had any big fronts come through. Discharge cubic feet per second. The beginning of the week, 6,500. End of the week, 7,200. And it's flatlining there. Again, it corresponds with that stabilized air and weather patterns that we've been getting. And so the Kenai River is starting to stabilize, and that bodes very well for those July runs. We're hoping for a big sockeye run this year, and maybe those kings will come in. Maybe we can start keeping them. We'll see. Gauge height. If you guys are watching the video, this chart looks ridiculous, but look at the y-axis. It's only up 0.4 from 10.6 up to 11. So everything's been stabilizing this week. The river's right where we want it to be, and it's getting ready for that the July fishing, and those sockeye are coming in, and I can't wait to get a freezer full of sockeye. Now, speaking of other fishing, halibut from the beach. Yes, I caught some halibut. Yes, it's possible. And yes, I recommend going to the beaches north of the Kenai River. Um, that's right. You heard me. North of the Kenai River. Can't really say much more than that because I'm trying to go out there catch some more halibut. But yes, you can catch them. Throw out some bait 3 hours before high tide. You guys know all the tricks. You sit out there 3 hours before high tide with some dead fish on the bottom of the ocean, and you get yourself a nice size halibut. Um, and if you're not already subscribed, go ahead, hit that subscribe button because I will have a catch and cook halibut video coming up this week. It's going to be a good one. And as always, share, like, and subscribe to this channel. I do this every week. I want to help you guys have the best fishing trip possible here on the Kenai Peninsula. And I'll talk to you guys next week.